Mr. Mathew Knowles.
Hey, Mike.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? You're in D.C., huh?
I'm in Washington, good old Washington, D.C., where all the action is.
Yeah, I see it every day on the news.
Do you watch a lot of CNN?
I watch a lot of CNN.
Yeah, me too, man. Especially this. I started when Barack came on board, but now it's an obsession just to know what's going on in the world.
Well, I tell you what I just don't understand is if President Obama did 1/10 of what Trump is doing.
That's an amen from all of us.
That I don't see how he gets away with it. But I told a lot of people when he was running, I said, don't be surprised if this guy wins. And everybody looks at me crazy. And I said, because he understands reality TV. Mm-hmm. He's saying what a lot of people are thinking.
Mm-hmm. When I think of somebody like Mathew Knowles, and I've been thinking about you all week, you, to me specifically, changed the game of music. And I don't know if you ever think about that or if you...
No, I think about it a lot, Mike. I hope history... shows that. What surprises me, Mike, is most people, unless they're in the music industry, are close to it, they don't have a clue of the impact that we've had on the music industry. And, bringing in things like strategic partnerships and with Walmart and others, all of the endorsements I've done right at 19 endorsement deals, starting with, I can name Mercedes, Nintendo, Pepsi. I can go on and on and on, where L'Oreal, where I understood coming from corporate America how to really bring in strategic partnerships, because the label has one budget, but if I can bring in a L'Oreal and a Pepsi, now my budget is times 10.
Yeah.
And my audience is times 50.
Yeah. Do you think that your background in corporate America and sales helped you to broaden and bring more to the music game?
Yes, 100%. I was fortunate to work at Xerox for 10 years, and I wasn't selling copiers. I did that for a year. I was 1 year as a trainee. My first year, I was a trainee in the engineering department. Then went into copiers and actually was selling, and was fortunate to be the number one sales rep every quarter, and then got this quantum leap job in the medical division selling zero radiography for breast cancer detection, and ending up being a number one sales rep worldwide for 3 out of 4 years, and then going to Philips to sell MRI and CT scanners. And when you're selling something, $5-10 million, it's a different approach to it. You look at it from a different approach. And so that really helped me tremendously. And then we owned our own business. In 1982, Tina and I started our hair salon that we had for 17 years.
That's
and,
right.
Very made
popular.
Our first $1 million, Mike, in 1984. So, that corporate really, really helped me. I remember my first major meeting with the president of Columbia, and he had his other executives, and I was telling them, I said, look, I want to put the remix of No, No, No on the album. They laughed at me like I was crazy. Like, what? You want to do what? And I said, look, guys, I've called Broadcast Data Systems, BDS, and I sold them on the fact that the ballad was, and the up-tempo had the same lyrics, just different tempos, that if you played either one of those, it would count as the same. And so that's how Destiny's Child No, No, No got number one, because we were playing two different versions of it, and it was counting as one. So I said, why wouldn't you want to put this on the album? Because back in the day, you would only do a remix months after the album came out, the single, and it was extended at radio.
Right. Tell us a little bit about Mathew and where Mathew grew up. And how...
Well, I'm 66 years old. I was born in 1952 in a small town, about 30,000 people, 40,000 in Alabama, Gaston, Alabama. One of the things, Judge Moore. So Judge Moore went to the same high school, not at the same time, but we both graduated from a high school called Gaston High.
I know this. I'm from Birmingham.
Oh, then you know.
Yeah,
then you know all about Marion, Alabama.
Yep.
That's where my grandparents on my mother's side lived, and Dave Hogue and Hester Hogue.
Wow.
And, I would go down there, and I don't want to give away, my two things you asked when you were talking about Destiny's Child. I don't want to give that away, but, I will, I'm literally holding in my hand the second proof of racism from the eyes of a child.
Wow.
Which talks about me growing up in Gaston, Alabama, and going down to Marion. But all the experiences that I had being the first black or one of the first blacks in junior high school, I went to a Catholic. If you could believe it or not, Mike, I went to a Catholic elementary private school with white nuns. How my poor parents were able to afford that, I have no idea. We weren't Catholic, which was difficult because we got students that weren't Catholic got treated differently by the white nuns. But being the first at the Litchfield Junior High, being one of the first at Gaston High School, and it was very, very traumatic because I've experienced everything from seeing white and colored restrooms and water fountains and sections, going to the dentist in the colored section. I've been beaten. I've been electric prodded. I've been arrested as a child. Most people don't realize how many 15-year and younger were part of that movement. A lot of children were part of that.
But I remember all that. That's pretty fascinating.
Well, my mother went to high school at Lincoln Norman, I think it was called, in Marion. My mother went to high school with Coretta Scott at that time. Her name was Coretta Scott. And Coretta was valedictorian in her class. And then Reverend Abernathy, he ended up, not Abernathy, but one of the other leaders ended up marrying someone also from Marion, Alabama. And then T.D. Jakes is from Marion, Alabama. And found out maybe 10, 15 years ago that we were distant cousins. So I actually have family that lives in Birmingham right now. I have two nieces that live there.
Wow. You use the word passion a lot, Mathew. Why is that word so important to you?
It's important to me because passion to me is that thing that gets you excited, gets you going, the thing that you go to bed at night thinking about and wake up in the morning, you can't wait to do it. It's the thing that's the fuel. It's the thing that you love. It gives you joy and happiness. And for me, I challenge everyone. I teach at Texas Southern University, and I tell my students, regardless of what your parents, your friends, it's about what you love, because when you live your passion, you don't work a day in your life.
You've said failure is an opportunity to grow, not a reason to quit. Explain why. Well,
this is from my first book, The DNA of Achievers, 10 Traits of Highly Successful Professionals. And as I was writing that book, I started thinking of what are the things that, because I had the opportunity to meet some extremely successful people, what do they have in common? And one of the things that they all, think about Michael Jordan. Now, I played college basketball. I think Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player. But to think that this guy in the 10th grade, the greatest basketball player, could make the team. Just think about that.
Yeah.
And failure is about falling on the canvas, picking yourself up, understanding how you can grow from it. Let me share something with you, Mike. I get excited about this.
I love it.
When the gentleman invented the pencil, he purposely put an eraser on it. Why do you think he did that? I'm inventing this thing you can write, and then all of a sudden I'm going to put this thing that you can erase it, because he knew we were going to make mistakes. And with Beyonce and Solange, I always have been more concerned, not so much about their success, but hoping that they have failures so they can grow from it. And they did. They have had failures, and they grew from it. I've grown from it. So that's why that chapter is really important to me, learning from failure.
How much racism do you think is in the music industry today?
Well, again, I talk about that in my book. When I first got in the industry, you had your black urban division, and then you had your pop division. I used to sit in meetings at the record label, and I said, look, guys, let's just call it what it is. In your mind, when you say urban, in your mind, although it doesn't mean that, but in your mind it means black. And when you say pop, in your mind it means white. Let's just call it what it is. And you had that segregation inside of the labels, to the point because I actually managed a white group, two white groups, a group called Signature and some girls from Sweden. And their advance were twice that of Destiny's Child. Their marketing budget was twice that of Destiny's Child.
Wow.
Their video budget was twice that of Destiny's Child. So I'm not talking about something that I guess. I managed all three of them. A girl group called Play from Sweden. And that still exists. I mean, we listened to, even just recently as last year's Grammy, and we heard a winner say, hey, I really shouldn't have won this award. Somebody else should have won it. Somebody named Beyonce.
Yep, that was, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Adele,
yeah. Wow. There's a beautiful story that you talk about. There's a young boy that used to come late to class when you would teach over at Texas Southern University. Do you remember that story?
I do.
If you could just tell us that story real quick.
Yeah. Maybe about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I teach at 5:30 to 8, which is a challenging time. And then this student would continuously, I'm a stickler about being on time and being early, actually. And he would get there 6:15. And after, 3 times of this, I had to call him out in a big way and say, hey, look, you either get here on time or you just need to not come. And then he says, Professor Knowles, you don't remember who I am? And I said, why should I? He says, when I was a little kid, I was one of the kids in a family that you gave the 2 houses to with Home for Habitant. And he says, and my parents have broken up. They're on crack, on drugs, and I have a younger sister, and I have to get her every evening, feed her and homework and get her ready for bed, and then I come to class. And there wasn't I started tearing up, and there wasn't a dry eye in the class.
Yeah, let's talk about Blush. Might be my favorite girl group now. Those girls are dope. I've been listening to them all week. And they go by the name, for those of you who are listening, they go by the name of Blush. And the names of the girls are, it is Sunny, Tali, and Bunny Ray. What has it been like working with these girls and trying to keep them unique? Every now and then I get a Destiny's Child vibe, but I miss that. I miss that sound. I miss seeing 3 girls on stage killing it. I miss it. And
I miss it too.
I told my best friend, I said,
hope that at some point that Kelly and Michelle and Beyonce
please
do something together in a meaningful way.
Just a once. I told a best friend of mine, I said, I've got the 2 all playing out. We only want Solange and the girls, no opening acts, no nothing. Because Solange, what she's done with her career has been incredible.
It has been.
Incredible.
I'm very, very proud of her.
Incredible.
But that's another example of learning from failure.
Yeah.
It didn't start out successful. And a lot of that, was because myself, the record label, we wanted to put Solange in a box.
Pop.
That's
you guys
not
wanted
who she is.
Was it pop? Was it more pop?
Yeah, we wanted to put her more in a pop R&B thing, and that's not who she is. I mean, but more pop, and she's a songwriter. She has depth. A quick story about Solange. When she was in I think it was a 7th or 8th grade, I get a call from the principal, Mr. Knowles, you got to get here immediately. And I'm thinking she's hurt or something. I rush over to middle school, and he says, look, we have a problem. Solange was told that she could not give a book report, and they had to pick a poet, and she picked Nas. And Miss Smith told her that Nas is not a poet, he's a rapper. And Solange is telling us, no, he is a poet. And so what she's done is she's gotten a petition against me, the principal, to get me fired.
Go ahead, Solange. I love it.
Oh, man.
Black Power, she wasn't having it.
She wasn't having it, man. She was like, he is a poet. And she was right. But she stood her ground. She got all the kids to sign a petition. And they ended up giving her aid, by the way.
Wow. Well,
they ended up accepting it.
Well, I've got a panel of my lovely co-host here, and they've got some questions that they would like to ask you also. And we'll start with the Sue official.
Hello, Dr. Knowles. I'm honored that you were with us this evening.
How you doing? I get so confused. I hear sometimes Mr. Knowles, Mathew Knowles. I've went back to school and got my MBA and PhD, Dr. Knowles, Professor Knowles, and then I hear Beyonce's daddy. That's
the cutest. So I was looking at your laundry list of accomplishments and just Living Legend Awards and the Century Award of Excellence for Omega Sci-Fi. Was there any particular one that was nearest and dearest to your heart?
Yeah, I won an award years ago with the Greater Houston Partnership, which is a business organization here in Houston. And it was International Entrepreneur of the Year. That meant a lot to me, from my peers. These are people from Shell, Exxon's, major corporations acknowledging me for the city of Houston, 4th largest city in America, as the Entrepreneur of the Year internationally. That's the award for me personally that means the most dear to me.
Wow. Up next is Latrice Amanda.
Hi, Dr. Knowles. How are you?
Hi, Latrice.
Hi. Honestly, I'm just learning from you. Like, I feel so honored to just sit here and just take all these mental notes and learn, because I feel like I'm one of your students and one of your classes. So I don't necessarily have a question except
Well, I have a comment, Latrice.
Okay.
Just yesterday, I announced the Knowles Institute of Entrepreneurship, Entertainment, and Music Business. It's over 1,000 e-learning courses online.
Oh, my God.
And so amazing. You can go to knowlesinstitute.com.
Okay.
Also, it'll be an announcement next week, but I'll tell everybody now. We also have the Mathew Knowles Institute of Entrepreneurship and Music Business
nice.
At Texas Southern University online. and you can go to tsu.knowlesinstitute.com and look at those courses, an array of courses I'm very proud of.
Thank you, and I am.
Awesome.
I'm so thankful for this information. I'm going to look it up right now.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, and up next is Ms. Z.
Hello, Mr. Dr. Professor Knowles. I'll try to cover all those real quick.
I didn't quite get to your name.
Z.
Miss Z.
Miss Z.
Yeah,
Yes.
simple.
What is the Z for?
Zanetta, but don't tell anyone. No, it's Zanetta.
Okay. Well, the world's listening.
I know. Okay, so from being in corporate America to being in the whole music industry to being an author and also a professor, you were talking about a passion. Which is your favorite? Or do you have a favorite, or are they all equal?
No, my number one passion is to educate and motivate in two areas, entrepreneurship and music business. That's my passion. And my thing is that most people don't know their passion, and so they can't even articulate their passion. Notice I didn't hesitate when you asked me that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, speaking of entrepreneurship, how important do you think is being an entrepreneur, especially in the Black community? Because you don't hear that, I guess, spoken about as much. So how important do you think that is?
Well, it's critical. You know, at one point, when I grew up in Little Small Gaston, Alabama, in our neighborhoods, we had doctor, dentists, butchers, grocery stores, laundries. How about nail salons? We actually have black nail salons and hair salons. All of that's changed now. You know, we called it in the years ago bid rent theory. We got the only person in this whole thing that integrated was black people in our neighborhoods. We moved out of our neighborhoods into white neighborhoods, and now all of those neighborhoods are coming back. White folks are coming back to our neighborhoods because it's closer to downtown. And so we integrated and lost our entrepreneurial spirit. You know, my dad and mother, poor as they were, my dad worked at a produce company, convinced those white folks to let him use that truck all the time. And at the end of he would get off 3 or 4 o'clock. He'd go and tear down old houses and sell all the copper, metals, and stuff. He'd give you $25 for a car, and he'd sell all the parts. My mother made $3 a day as a colored maid, and then on the weekends, her and her girlfriends would make quilts and sell them. So I grew up in that entrepreneurial spirit, and literally at 9 years old had my first business, but it was short-lived because I used to sell candy, and one of the nuns found out about it, and it was a short-lived business.
Yes,
Dr. Knowles, I'm a recent graduate, so I have a student loan debt. I was wondering, can I get a family discount for your institute?
Well, actually, when you look at the prices, you see that on the initial lunch they're already discounted. Most of the classes are less than $100.
Oh,
that is great.
Amazing.
So, Matthew, tell us, how can the book be pre-ordered?
Well, both of the books, the DNA of Achievers, as well as Racism from the Eyes of the Child, simply go to my website, which is my name, MathewKnowles.com. Now, remember, Matthew has one T.
That's right.
And I'll quickly tell you the story. When I was born, the colored kids, you would be in the hospital, the mothers and the kids, 1-2 weeks. And these administrative people, they were not very educated and white, nor did they care about the colored ward. Mm-hmm. And so whoever this person was misspelled my name, and I didn't know that until I worked at Xerox and had to get my passport for the first time, that my name was completely butchered, first name, middle name, the whole bit. So go to MathewKnowles.com, and you can get both books. And I'll have literally in 3 weeks, I'll have Racism from the Eyes of a Child. I'm on Chapter 3 of what would be 400 pages, which is Destiny's Child, The Untold Story.
Yeah. So we're waiting on that. And let me ask you this: are you going to do a book tour?
Yes, I am. We're putting that together right now.
So
and
when,
we coming through, and I'm going to need your support.
When you come to D.C., we're rolling out the red carpet.
Well,
so I will be in contact with Tyson. We're going to do whatever you need. So let us know what you need. And,
well, thank you so much, Mike.
And we'll be pre-ordering the book also. What's next for you, Mathew?
What's next for me? We're working on a significant project where I have over 30 years of content in all sorts of format, digibeta, reel-to-reel, and this is both audio and video. And, I have a team of folks, they're here right now, about 4 or 5 people, going through boxes, getting ready to transfer all of this content to digital, and then we'll start looking at what we have. We have already gone through Girls' Time, which was, Destiny's Child evolved. It was Girls' Time, then it was The Dolls, then it was Something Fresh, then it was Cliche, then it was Destiny, then it was Destiny's Child. Yeah. And, that started when Beyonce was 9 years old. So we're talking about years and years, and that's a major project. I'll continue to write books because I really enjoy that. We're having discussions about having a Destiny's Child play. So those are the types of things that I'm really excited about. Teaching is really important to me, and I'll continue to do that.
Well, I admire you. I've been admiring you for a while. You made a sacrifice for your family. You created one of the biggest selling girl groups. You guys beat out TLC.
Well, most people don't realize, and thank you for that, because, Mike, most people don't have the international numbers. Yeah. Destiny's Child, if you can believe it, has sold more records outside of America. Mm-hmm. Because, I learned early on, coming from corporate America, the world is much bigger than the USA.
Yeah.
So, we've been fortunate, very fortunate. But, Trinity 5-7 is the greatest selling
gospel group,
contemporary trio group in the history of gospel. So
they're on your label, right?
Yeah, sure. We have 7 albums on them. So we've been fortunate to do it in pop, R&B, and gospel. Mm. And then most people don't even know that I have a country label called Compadre.
Yeah, I saw that today. Yeah. Well, Mathew, thank you so much for this interview and your time. One more thing. When I was looking at the book today, looking at the image of the book today, a friend of mine, her name is Jackie. Jackie and her husband, they have a device called Not Reaching. And Not Reaching is basically a device that you put in if a police stops you, you don't have to do any sort of movement in your car, but all you do is you have a pouch and you pull out of your your ID and all of your information in this pouch. And I thought about that today. So when you do your book tour, I definitely want you to meet these people because
I like to talk to them because in Racism from the Eyes of a Child, there's one of the chapters that I talk about because I start the book of an experience that I had at 5 years old with my brother and my mother, a traumatic experience, and I take it up until present time. There's times that I get on the airplane, Mike, and I might have a blue jeans, some sneakers, and T-shirt on, and I'll put my bag up, and the flight attendant will come up and say, "I'm sorry, sir, that's reserved for first class." We still experience that in America. Racism still exists in America. There's a lot of folks that consider themselves privileged, and they're not black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sad world, but again, thank you so much. I admire you, the big sacrifices that you've made to just get to where you are today, a mogul and now an author.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled by that. And thank you for giving me a platform of opportunity, because a lot of people, they believe in what I call the Jedi mind trick. They actually believe a lot of the gossip and the innuendos, and they don't understand this is to make money.
Yeah.
There's one thing our president is right about Trump. Unfortunately, there is a lot of fake news.
Yep. It's
He
too
got
much
that
of it.
right.
I think because he's been a part of it, he knew it in the first place.
Yeah.
So
Helped create it.
yeah.
The Jedi mind trick. You got to use that word, the Jedi mind trick.
Jedi mind trick. Well, again, thank you so much, man. What an honor and a privilege to talk to you today.
Well, thank you. Thank your audience for all the support that they've given the Knowles family.
Absolutely.
And thank you, ladies, that's sitting there. And God bless all of you.
Thank you. God bless you too, Matthew.
All
Have
right,
a great
good night.
evening. Thank you.